Hello from the 2023 Creating Trauma Sensitive Schools Conference. I am here with ATN board member and owner of Safe Spaces Consulting, Tracy Leonard.
Yes, hi.
Thank you for being
everybody.
here.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
We're so happy to have you, and you will be presenting on Tuesday.
I am on Tuesday.
The session, It Takes a Village, Building Trauma-Informed Partnerships with Families and Communities.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came into ATN and how you've worked down to this session?
Sure.
What is so important to you and what do you hope to get across in this session?
It's been quite a journey. This is my fourth conference at ATN, and the previous 3 years has all been a different workshop. And then that's actually how I came to be on the board, which is another amazing part of this organization and journey. And I think it's from having attended all the conferences and being a part of the board that I really realized we're doing such a good job of building and creating these trauma sensitive schools that I don't want that to stop at the school and with the students. My fear is that the students go home and the parents might not be speaking the same language, or the communities could be doing a better part supporting what the schools are doing. And then even beyond that, with advocacy and lawmakers, that they could be even doing a bigger part to be supporting what the schools and the families are doing. So that was the impetus for this workshop.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to focus on, there's the social behavioral change model that I'll talk a little bit about. I don't want to get too theoretical, because I know the people coming and the educators coming to these conferences want practical solutions that they can take back. But I want to lay some groundwork. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll also talk about the Strengthening Families framework, which again, with both of those, it's more of a framework of knowledge. It's nothing that a school or a teacher or an educator has to go and spend hours of professional development doing. It's just a way of thinking about how they're delivering the information to more stakeholders. So we'll spend a little bit of time on that, and then we're going to really dive into what do partnerships look like with families, what do they look like with the community and with other youth serving organizations, and how can we come up with some activities, and also what are schools already doing that might be trauma informed with those stakeholders. But let's just put on a lens and think about how we're doing that. And again, how can we get other people to support the work so that, when a child leaves campus in the site, that it's not, like dead on arrival. It doesn't stop.
It doesn't end there.
And that the community knows how I can support the school, whether that is financial support, whether that is providing resources, being accessible, even just speaking the language. So part of, in the workshop, part of what we'll do is, asking the participants, what would you want the families, like what vocabulary and what trauma-informed best practices and theories would you want to make sure parents knew? What would you want to make sure the communities knew? What would be important for other youth serving organizations, like the after school programming that might come into your building, or where, the after school programming where your kids might go, like scouts or, whatever. And then your people with political power, and, it might be the school board, it might be, local elected officials, but what do they need to know about this language? And so how can we start to plan and really kind of break out of our school building and really engage the whole community so that we can have this whole village supporting these kiddos who've been affected by trauma.
Yeah.
So
what brought you into this work? What brought you into this area?
I am I was a school teacher for 5 years and also a school site administrator for a charter school. So Title I, low income. And this was before trauma was even really a buzzword. ACEs, this was it was a while ago. And I kind of got out of education and started teaching adults. And as I was teaching adults, it was more of the child abuse prevention. And it started morphing into trauma prevention and, kind of as that was, really coming out. And worked for a nonprofit called Stop Child Abuse Now. And, really it just something clicked. And I was so glad to have had that education background too, and felt that I could just kind of marry both passions and really be able to provide, some things. The school I was at was it was in Arizona. It was a failing charter school. So, we had a lot to overcome, and we made so many good strides, and I had so many great experiences that I just wanted to help, repeat that. And I'm a mom of 2 teenagers, and we've had some great experiences as well with other schools. And I just want to share, is sometimes I think educators get beat down with bad experiences, or they don't have the support of their top leaders, or the leaders have the ideas, but they have a hard time getting the educator and the teachers in the classroom behind them because of different barriers. Yeah. So I just wanted to be able to explain and show them that it can work, and kind of share some of my, positive experiences that I've had.
So your safe spaces,
yes,
that's what you do.
That is now, yes. So after kind of leaving education behind, and I was at a nonprofit. My family's moved from, that was in DC. We're in California now. So I started my own consulting business called Safe Spaces, and really to create safe spaces. And I do it 3 ways. I have programming that I offer for families, communities, and organizations. So, whether that's coming in and doing brown bag lunch series, or, more detailed and formal trainings using a curriculum. I particularly use something called Stewards of Children, that is specific for child sexual abuse prevention. But that's like a proven evidence-informed curriculum. But then I also, have created, and a lot of these workshops that I present at nationally, I can come in and do, for a school district, for an organization, virtually, live. Now everything can be virtual. I know, yeah. Right? So it's just an exciting time to be able to talk about all of this. Everybody's, really into it, and really, you can tell, wants to understand, yeah. Especially after, the collective trauma of the pandemic. And just, I think more people are starting to open their eyes. And so we kind of need to take advantage of that and kind of ease them into these conversations, and get them ready and aware, and let them know what they can do, and that they're not powerless.
So how long have you been doing this, and what is the arc of growth and awareness that you've seen?
Yeah, with Safe Spaces, about 3 years.
Okay.
And it's the growth has been, there's a lot of need. A lot of educators, a lot of nonprofits. It still amazes me that there's still a lot of people who only peripherally have heard of ACEs or trauma, or it kind of sounds familiar. So there's still a lot of work to be done. And for my business personally, I'd really like to see the growth now extend to human resources, and kind of go beyond I think we're doing pretty good at, social service agencies, and we're doing pretty good at education. Could we do better? Of course.
Yeah.
But I'd really love to see, those HR offices, for some of those bigger companies who have parents who are balancing so many things, start to reach out to those of us that know this trauma field and help them. Because what we're going to find is, these kids who have gone through school and are growing up in trauma-informed schools are going to need trauma-informed workplaces. Mm-hmm. So that's the next evolution almost. And so that's kind of where I also see, myself, trying to be able to offer, even if it just starts as that beginning vocabulary lesson and what are ACEs and what is trauma and what is all of that. But just to start opening that up to, the business leaders in business culture, because they really are going to need to provide supportive environments for their workers, and this young workforce that is going to be coming up, and again, who have just gone through, a pandemic and are going to need, maybe some extra supports. So, personally, that is what, I hope to be able to do too.
Well, we're lucky to have people like you.
Oh, thanks.
Doing the work and in the forefront.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to me.
Absolutely.
We're so happy to have you here.
Yeah. Thanks. It's an honor again, to be on the board and to be a part of this amazing organization.
We're lucky to have you.
Thanks.
Tracy Leonard.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.